When you have ADHD and or autism and you can't get over an ex, I think a lot of what's going on there, especially if you are somebody who, one, either doesn't know that you're neurodivergent or you don't really understand the traits and characteristics, and therefore you really haven't allowed yourself to unmask. And then you think about this relationship and you're like, oh my gosh, like what could have been? I just wish that I would have done this differently. I wish I would have done this differently. I think there are so many things that go into that, especially when it comes to like romantic relationships. Whenever you're with someone that often and you're that vulnerable with them and the walls start coming down, whether you like it or not and know what you're doing, you are starting to unmask in front of somebody. And that's part of the reason why it is so overwhelming and so scary. And if you tackle on like trauma or relationship trauma to that situation and the idea of the fact that you're unmasking, whether knowingly or unknowingly, like your survival is at stake and your brain is going to freak out because your whole life you have been told not to be a certain way. So then you become very apologetic or scared, and maybe there's this push and pull aspect where you're like freaking out because you're like, well, I can't show them, but now I've shown them, now they know, now I can't let them go because if they know the actual real me and they leave, then that means that I'm a terrible person. But it's not the fact that you're a terrible person, it's just you and this other person are incompatible. Whenever you start to unmask and really step into your authenticity, you're going to really understand a lot of the reasons why your old friendships or romantic relationships or like jobs or all these different things didn't work out in your life, because you're going to be like, oh, well, they never listened to my sensory needs because I never told them, or I didn't realize how important those needs were. They didn't understand why I would have overwhelm or I would have a meltdown. They didn't understand why I didn't want to be as physical or whatever it might have been. It's like when they say if you're in a desert, you're going to be craving water, but like if you're in an oasis, like you're surrounded by it. Make an oasis of safe people around you so that you're not just clinging to the first person that shows you any type of interest or any type of decency, that you're like, oh, well, I maybe I can unmask, maybe I can be myself, maybe this is good enough. You don't have to settle. There are going to be people out there who want to be around you despite all the flaws that you think you have, and they're even going to make you realize that those things aren't that bad. Like, yes, we should learn self-love and what our preferences are and give ourselves like the things that we need for ourselves. People tell you that you don't need other people. No, some of the ways that I have found how to love myself or how to find myself attractive or how to support myself have been through other people, whether directly or indirectly, through videos of other people, through podcasts, through books, through my friends, through strangers who just showed me kindness. Give yourself permission to discover what your needs are, what your preferences are, what your boundaries are, what you deserve. And like, for example, I understand that my overwhelm is my responsibility to take care of. But I think a safe person would be someone who's like, hey, I understand that you're like a little freaked out right now. Like, what can I do? Oh, you need space? Cool. I'll go away. Okay. Like, do you just need me to distract you and talk about kittens? Okay, cool. I have to regulate. I have to be the one to do the work. But just having somebody who's going to be there and be a safe space and be as understanding as they can be, at least most of the time, because we're human and we have to make room for human error. Like, look for those people and figure out what that even means to your specific needs, preferences, boundaries, whatever it is that you need for yourself. So anyway, I hope that helps at least one person. I'm your favorite self-experimenting coach or companion, and I help get people reacquainted with who they most authentically are. You're an amazing person, and I hope you have the best day.